Live from the 4.5-inch studio in the heart of the suburbs of downtown Salem, Virginia, this is Small Room, Loud Stories. I'm your host, Rob Miles. Good afternoon. I'm here with Will Henson, or is it Willie?
I said, well, Willie's my stage name.
All right. So, Will Henson is here today. Thank you for coming in and having a talk with me. And
Well, thanks for having me.
let's see what we can get into.
All right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born in
We'll need several hours.
I know. I don't even know where to start with that. I was born in, I hate to say this out loud, but I was born way back in 1968.
Well,
And just grew up on a college campus in a sort of isolated coal mining town. And I just had a very weird family, very brainy, but irreverent family. Like I'm still trying to figure out who my dad was, and I'm 57. He was kind of a celebrated college professor, and he was, worshipped like the second coming of Christ. So we just got away with so much, and we just didn't have a clue. Like when I got older, I had some scrapes with the law, and
do you know who my father is?
No, I never did that. But what would happen is, they'd find me at the reservoir with a 6-pack of Budweiser or something. I'm like 19, 20 years old. And, they'd pour some of it out and just go, now, I sure would hate to tell your father about this, And it was always like a threat, like, I'm going to tell your dad. And, but that last name got us out of a lot of trouble. And I just took it completely for granted growing up. I just thought, like, God must like me.
Who wouldn't take that for granted?
I just didn't know until I moved here.
Yeah.
And then started getting in the same scrapes.
Nobody
And then it
gave
was,
a shit.
I don't give a shit who you are, son. Get in the car. So I had to learn the hard way.
Henson, Henson,
Yeah.
like the professor.
Yeah.
I don't know no fucking professor.
I know, yeah. I did a big drum solo in the 10th grade. Son, get in the car. Yeah. But anyway, and my parents were real, it's amazing to look back, but they let us make a lot of noise growing up. Like in one room, my oldest brother would be playing the guitar through a wah pedal, and Chris would be playing on the piano or something. The whole house was just full of instruments and just drums and just noise all the time. And they were really, I don't know what the word is, but I have to use the word liberal.
Well,
because, everybody's, I don't want to divide or alienate anybody.
Fuck 'em.
But yeah. And so they were just very, they just let us go nuts with guitars and everything. And they always had band practices come over. And I asked Mom later, I was like, how did you put up with all that noise? And she said, as long as I heard noise, I knew where you were.
Yeah, it was when it got quiet that she started
That's
worrying,
exactly
what kind of
said.
trouble are
Yeah.
they getting up to now?
Yeah.
Now, I do want to go back on one point because you said you're still trying to figure out who your father was. And I know what you meant, but I just want to make sure the audience is not thinking that you're questioning.
Oh,
who
like,
was,
I don't know who my dad was.
You just mean.
He was just a very complex person because,
hard to keep track of.
Yeah, he had a brilliant sense of humor, but he didn't fuck around either, And to this day, if I make a post about my dad or something, my brother Chris and I will quietly talk in Messenger, and Chris will say, what a strangely odd man Dad was, and it's that kind of thing.
But he was there. He was present in your life, and that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so your parents were also musicians?
Mom was.
Okay.
Dad wasn't at all. And he was surprisingly tolerant, because I think he was kind of like, I don't understand all this stuff, but you go ahead.
I'm going to the university and working.
That's basically what he did. He went there to get the hell away from all of us. But yeah, and Mom had, from what I understand, Chris knows a lot more about her than I do, but she came up, she sang some opera. She was like she majored in music? I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But
Was she a diva type, or just,
no, not at all.
Just somebody really cool who
yes, she was
did
very
opera
down to earth,
yeah.
but she just sang great, and she gave voice lessons when we were kids. Because Chris and I would be upstairs snickering because we could hear this do 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 do. Then it would go up half a step, do 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 do, and we would imitate her students when they would come over.
You're picking fun at them.
We was.
Now, did y'all get voice lessons from her?
No, I think none of us really felt like we could ever do that.
Right. And then here all three of you are, at least all three of you are musicians. I know you and Chris sing. I don't know if Ned sings.
Yeah, Ned too. And personally for me, I started out on the ukulele in the first grade. There was this little troupe, this little band called the Little Swinging Strings.
The Swinging Strings.
Phyllis Wood, and if you're out there, thank you. But she got us, we each had these ukuleles, and we got out of class. We would travel to Bristol on a bus like 5 a.m. and be on this local TV show that was broadcasting everywhere. And
it sounds like the Korean media when they bring out those 3-year-old kids that are playing really intricate music on classical acoustic
exactly.
guitars.
You can just tell somebody's in the background cracking the whip. Yeah, we were singing, just simple hillbillies, flies in the buttermilk kind of stuff. And we had to wear matching overalls and shirts, but it was fun.
Oh, in the first grade, who wouldn't have loved that?
Yeah,
You get to go to places and do things.
We would get out of class and ride around on a tour bus. We were in the first grade. And then there was, things just moved quick. It was the late 70s.
Yeah.
So, behind my oldest brother's door, you were going to hear, he practiced that for months. And just, we were crazy. We were listening to the Beatles, and Chris had a drum set, and we were learning Ringo's parts, and then I was allowed to play it for a while. My feet didn't reach the pedals yet, but I had all the upper stuff.
Yeah, you could hit the snares, the hi-hats, and stuff like that. And probably better that you weren't hitting the bass, because that would have just been thump, 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 thump.
Exactly, yeah.
All out of
but that's all we did. We were just obsessed. We had thousands of records, just everything, every genre you can think of, and we just got really obsessed with music. I think the difference is my two older brothers had a better attention level in class.
Yeah.
So they didn't really do a lot of homework, but they made good grades. Whereas, I was all over the place in school, and I would just be drawing cartoons or staring out the window, and I couldn't retain it. So my grades weren't quite as good. And, but yeah, we were just obsessed with music and still are, Well, to this day, Chris can make a reference or send a lyric of some album we heard when we were in when I was in the third grade or something. I know what he's talking about, but no one else does,
And then, I mean, I've seen you I saw all three of you play at Parkway Brewing. This was 10 or more years ago. It was just the one time, and each of you had like your own individual act up there, and then y'all would kind of mill around, and two of you would be up there, and then maybe another two or something like that, and then all three of you played together.
And I got really pissed at my oldest brother because he did something I knew he was going to do.
What did he do?
We each did our individual sets, and then we were all supposed to get up there and play together, but I knew that my oldest brother, Ned, was going to do some kind of offbeat riff that no one else could jump on because he has to have that extra ground. And I was just so pissed because I was playing bass. And with the guitar, you could screw up a little bit and get away, and just keep pushing and rolling. Yeah. With a bass, if you hit a wrong note, everybody in the room knows, even people that don't know anything about music. And I got so mad at him because he was doing some weird riff in 7/8, you know, and it was
and
like
you're supposed to follow along.
Yeah, and it was like
bass.
all this PTS dynamic from childhood came back, and I was like, he's doing this on purpose. So, but it was still, you know, it was fun.
Oh, I had a great time watching y'all play up there. And then, I used to watch you and Chris with Gary Hall as Henson, damn it.
Yeah.
the world's oldest boy band. I love that tagline.
Yeah. 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 And I'm the one, I brought Gary in. And Gary and I had a funny back and forth this is what I always loved about Gary is we could bring out the best in each other, or we might bring out the worst in each other. One time, he and I were in another band playing at Village Grill, and he was just beating the shit out of the drums. And we were playing inside,
right,
in a room not much bigger than this. Nobody could hear anything. And so I cranked my bass up to where the windows were shaking, and he was like, "You need to turn that down," you know. And I was like, "Well, quit playing like we're at RFK Stadium, man." And sometimes it would spill out in the parking lot. And this is what I love about Gary is we could be out in the parking lot, you know, shoving each other and yelling. And then an hour and a half later, we're laughing inside the bar, you know, drinking beer.
Yeah. And
that's what I love about Gary is you can really just be your ugly self around him, and he'll still speak to you at the end of the night. And him too, you know.
So you have been in, how many different bands have you been in? And I'm not even counting the Willies, which is your band, but with a rotating cast of members.
You know, I actually, in my more energetic days, I compiled a chart and how many years each band was.
Yeah.
And I came up with the average, and the average shelf life of a band is usually about 3.5 years, unless it's a tribute band,
right,
where the business takes care of itself. Man, I'm trying to think. I had one in high school, and then one, two. I mean, it's somewhere in the 20s.
That's a lot of bands. And you were in one when y'all were living down south. That actually cut some records.
Yeah, we entered a. This is a funny story. We entered a contest. It was Battle of the Band.
Yeah.
And we were good. We had been at it for a long time. And we won the contest, and the prize was you got to go to Nashville and cut a record.
Oh, that's cool.
So your own original music. So we did it. And it was, we made it to Nashville, and we were like, this is a big place. And we went in the studio and cut the songs in 2 days. I know, maybe I shouldn't tell that story.
Hey, just a quick break here, and I'll take this out. Anything you say in this episode, if you later think, "Oh man, I shouldn't have said that," let me know, and I'll take it out.
Okay, I ain't worried about it. But yeah, no, we went to a strip club the night before the last session, and Sam, my buddy in the band, just screamed the entire time at the strip bar that he couldn't sing the next day. He was supposed to do the high harmonies,
but he had ragged his voice
so I had to double both, so you don't hear Sam on the final mix. Anyway, I'm digressing. So then we come back. We're like local heroes. Our pictures are all over the paper. They're playing this.
What was the name of this band?
Trespasser.
And
I named the band from a Genesis record.
Okay.
We were like a country country rock band.
Right. Certainly not prog rock.
Yeah. And I was just discovering Peter Gabriel era Genesis, and there was an album called Trespass.
Okay.
Which is a great album, and I just said, let's call it Trespasser. So anyway, so we get back, and then we're on the radio, and we're local heroes. And then Cashbox magazine. Oh, we also have like 500 boxes of our single, you know, up in storage.
Right.
And then suddenly, Cashbox magazine comes out. We're number 7.
Holy shit!
Like on the alternative country chart.
Yeah. And
I remember, and everybody was like, "Yeah, we're stars." And I remember thinking, "Who the fuck's buying this?" I'm not hearing this song anywhere else. I'm not hearing it at all.
It's not on the radio.
Yeah, so I always thought that was odd. So let's see.
It was the perk of winning the Battle of the Bands. They said,
we'll
get you in.
And I'll tell you what it was. 10 years later, somebody, I think it was my sister-in-law, sent me a link. The guy that had produced us was in federal prison for murder.
Oh, shit.
And what was going on? He had this big drug.
Wait a minute, was this Phil Spector?
Close. I think he thought he was. In fact, I remember him. Our singer wanted to sneak some booze into the session.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, nope, no booze, no drugs. And I remember him saying, no good albums were ever made on drugs. And I remember looking at Sam going, Sgt. Pepper. So anyway.
I think there's a lot more good albums that were made on drugs than there are good albums that weren't made on drugs.
And so he, so I get this link. He's in federal prison. He had this drug racket going on. And somehow it intertwined with fixing the charts. I'm not smart enough to explain that stuff. You can probably explain that business shit more than I can.
Oh.
But what happened is this intern, he was like, he came in and he blew the whistle on the whole operation. So they offed him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and so that's what he was in prison for. So, that's my big thing. We made it to Nashville. The charts were fixed.
And got involved in a scandal.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was quite an education.
I imagine. So do you still have that single? What was the name of the single?
It was called Something New, was one of the songs, and the other was called What Satisfies You. It was written by our lead, and we were so full of ourselves that the lead singer was, and we helped him write the song. He was really good, but he was like, I want us to be kind of a Stones country band. And they're good, it's good songs.
All right.
I still have a 45 somewhere. And I know the other band members, we're all getting up there. But, yeah, there are boxes of...
We've got to get that ripped onto an MP3 and release that sucker. It needs to be on your Bandcamp.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. You're right. And I've thought about that in passing. I've got the single.
They've got those record players that will rip an MP3 as you play the record. So that would be a trivial thing if you could find the single.
I've got it. I know where it is. And some of those turntables have outputs. I mean, I can just put it into the laptop you gave me.
So you said that the two songs you did were written primarily by the lead singer, but you all threw in and helped.
Yeah.
Now, I have always been extremely impressed by your songs that you write.
Oh,
because I mean this in the best possible way. They're so off kilter and off the wall. You have a way of just making something that most people wouldn't even think about, just absolutely absurd, but in the best possible way.
Oh, wow.
And I love that.
Hey, man, that's a great compliment. Because, you work on these songs. Like, I work on them for, first you have to write it in your head, and then you're recording it. And I always want to make it perfect.
Yeah.
In what I want to hear. and then you put it out there, and like 3 people click like. I got used to that.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
some
just,
of them have had a good life on their own. But I appreciate that, and it's just the product of being obsessed with a million bands and being kind of just schizophrenic. Like, okay, I want this to be Steely Dan sounding, and then I want to go over here and sound like the Dead Milkmen,
Yeah.
and mesh those two together or something.
Well, you have you do some great production with your voice on it, where it's just doing all these weird, upper register things, and then down low, and
oh yeah,
it's just I love the way it's like if it comes on, and it doesn't often, because there's only a few that I have in my YouTube roll, because you're on Bandcamp, but it's it doesn't really make it easily into YouTube. So, but if something of yours comes on, if there's anybody else in the car, they're like, "What the fuck?" And
that's
I'm like,
great.
"This is the great shit. What are you talking about? This is Will fucking Henson."
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I love that stuff. I saw you had just posted it. I know I've seen this before, but monkey on a tightrope wire.
Yeah.
Is that the name of it? Monkey on a tightrope wire.
Yeah, and that's a phrase that my buddy Stu, he goes through phases where, and it happens to rhyme with phrases, but he'll just have a few to drink, and there'll be a saying that lasts for maybe a week or 2 or maybe a month. And sometime last summer, it was monkey on a tightrope wire. And I thought that was a great phrase.
Well, it's got a good meter. Monkey on a tightrope wire. You can do something with that.
And it actually has nothing to do with the lyrics and the song. But I just thought it was and there was some, so I added that on there. And we had just gone to see Martin Barr at the Harvester.
Okay.
And so we were getting reacquainted with this Jethro Tull music.
Right.
And I just thought, man, this is such a lost art. This is such a great band. And I started thinking about, the lyrics are just unapologetically intellectual and overthinking.
Right.
You can't rock to it, but you can.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I want to write a song like that. So and so I just grabbed some of the deepest thoughts that was going on with me that week, and then and wrote it down and was able to piece it all together. And that circular riff had been going around for about a year.
Yeah.
Just every time I picked up the acoustic.
Yeah. That's and I mean, I feel like that's probably what you do with a lot of your music, right? You're just when I write a song, I sit down, and if I don't have it written in an hour, I'm going to set it aside. And then if it's not done in a week, well, it was just a failed song. It's just a song I couldn't write. Yeah. I'm very much, I don't have the patience to go back and revisit it, So usually if I'm writing a song, and not to say they're any good, but if I write a song, they're fast. I've written them pretty fast.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of what you're doing, just bits and pieces that you're putting together. Is that taking time, or are you doing that?
One of the things I always did, and it worked with like Tasha Fudge and Crying Jack.
My personal favorite is Tasha
and it's
Fudge.
Actually had some life. It's in this town. It's got a cult following. Crying Jack made it on the radio on 101.5.
I watched y'all play on TV. I think it was Sunday on WDBJ 7.
Yeah.
Hey, WDBJ 7.
Yeah.
Give me some.
Or no, it was WSET or whatever it is, the Channel 10.
Well, Channel 7's never going to give me any free stuff now. If
I used to work there, so.
But
they're great people.
Yeah.
But
I like Crying Jack a lot, but Tasha Fudge. The first time I heard Tasha Fudge, I thought you were covering a Frank Zappa song. It was
very
Henson.
Zappish, and I was probably just really obsessed with Zappa that week. I had just moved to Roanoke. I think I was like 27 or 28 or something. And I'll tell you the story.
I want to hear this story.
I had just moved, and my friend Jack, his wife at the time, she was like, "I'm going to fix you up on a blind date. I've got a girl I work with," and And I just think you two would hit it off. What's her name? Tasha Fudge.
I mean, that's just begging to have a song.
Well, there's a real person named
Yeah.
Tasha. And the blind date never materialized, but I was fascinated with her name. I just was imagining who I thought this woman looked like, and obviously in the song I have very descriptive terms of what I think she looks like. And yeah, that was
and to the audience, we could tell you what those descriptions are, but really just go out there and search for the song and find out for yourself. It's a great song, well worth the effort.
Yeah, and so I just came up with the tune. It took like 5 minutes. And then I recorded it, with all the instruments. I recorded it with a broken Radio Shack mic that had the cover off the top of it. And to this day, it really is a great sounding microphone. And I remember I lived, my room was up in an attic of a house I was sharing with my brother-in-law. And I remember laying down the drum tracks, and he came up just after I had laid that drum track down, and he was like, "Dude, we're trying to watch wrestling downstairs, man. Can you keep it down?" And in my mind, I was creating something that was going to last for the ages.
And it's wrestling. How much do you need to be able to hear it?
Yeah.
You're just watching.
I know. Yeah, I didn't
big
get into
buffoons throwing each other around.
But that's a memory I have is, dude, we're trying to watch. So, yeah, and that song has had quite a life. There's been times when I've walked into 7-Eleven on Grand, and then somebody, they won't even turn around. They'll just kind of start going, "Tosh Fudge," and they'll start singing it.
I want you to have my baby.
No, you're telling her she wants, "I want you to have your baby."
Oh.
That's the part of the song. He's not taking any responsibility
I
for
want you to have your baby.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
that's
I've had
the
that.
hook.
I've heard that wrong all
Yeah.
all this
You're
time.
expecting him to say it. "I want you to have my," yeah.
Yeah.
He throws it back at her. He's basically saying, "I'm never going to take care of it, but you do your thing." But yeah, and it's been cool. And there's times, if I was walking down the street, it only happens in Grandin because I think people are more eclectic in that neighborhood, but somebody will drive by and, "Tasha Fudge." Yeah.
Well, you're a very recognizable person, so just walking down the street, you're going to get that kind of reaction, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of a blessing and a curse. But yeah, but you originally asked about these songs, and the thing with me is I'll get into it at the time and go, "This is kind of cool," but I don't really trust myself right now, so I'm going to put these lyrics and these chord changes away, or I'll record it, and then come back a month later and see if it's still breathing.
Yeah.
And if it is, like, hey, that's still got some sparkle and crackle to it. So, and I still like this.
Right.
Like, I wasn't just going through a mood swing that night. Like, this really is good.
Yeah.
Because you want to look at a song from all angles and, just...
Well, what happens to me, I get a song finished and I play it a few times and I feel like this is the best fucking song I've ever written. And a week later, I'm like, how the fuck is that? I thought
That
this
happens
was any
too.
damn good.
Yeah, that happens too. And I had one just the other day. I've written one called Strange Light, another euphemism I've gotten from Stu, because Stu likes to tell people, "You got a strange light around you." And I thought, strange light. And sometime in January or something, I was coming out of Food Line, and I just started singing this song about, "I got a strange light coming my way."
All right.
And so I set it into the tape recorder, forgot about it, and then found it like a month ago, and then built a sort of a J.J. Cale type song
Right.
around it. And then I still wasn't sure. I was like, do I really believe in this song? So me and Bobby Moore had run out of things to rehearse, and Bobby's really cool. He's like, "Well, do you have any songs you want to record?" And I thought, well, I got this strange like thing. So he hit record and I laid it down, and it's fine. Like, it's a great tune. So we're going to work on that next week.
Now, Bobby Moore, that's a name that you've been associated with for a long time.
Yeah.
You were in the Barflies with him that I know of.
Yeah.
And I saw you and him at Parkway Brewing not that long ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So how long have y'all been working together?
I don't remember when I first met him, and yet I don't remember a time when I never knew him. Yeah. And we just see each other around town, and but yeah, we finally got in the Barflies, and yeah, there's a lot of stories I could say about that, but I don't know if I should. But yeah, he's hilarious, and he and I seem to have sort of I mean, we're not exactly alike. He's a real meticulous, OCD. He likes everything organized. He likes knowing where everything is, whereas I'm the total opposite.
You're chaos in motion.
And he's very clean. You know, like I may go 3 days without taking a shower or something, and I'm definitely not organized, and I don't know where I'm putting everything. So we're opposite in that respect, but well, we kind of have the same spirit.
Yeah.
Like he just, it's like we both know we're just visiting here on this planet. You know, let's not take everything so serious.
Yeah,
I think he
make
and
some
I
music and have a good time.
Yeah, and I think he and I have always had that same energy that works well together. And that's like we told some people last night, because at last night's gig, he was really, the people were really into it. And that's what we were saying. Like, you know, me and Bobby have played in a lot of different bands, and we're the only two people left that still like each other.
Yeah.
Like, we're the only two musicians that have never had a falling out or a fight. So,
well, it's time to work on that.
That's what somebody said last night. He said, well, it'll never work if y'all like each other.
Oh, boy. And you brought up Stu, or as you call him on Facebook, Stu Dog.
The Stu Dog.
We got to hear some more about Stu.
Yeah, he's another one. The first time I met him, I was still working at PBS, and I had this ridiculous shift where it'd be like 7 nights in a row of going in at 2 p.m. and then getting out at midnight.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like much on paper, but living it, especially when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you want to get out and have fun and drink at bars.
And this wasn't a physical job that kept you moving all day,
No, hell no. You just sat around, and then like every 2 hours you'd hit a button, Masterpiece Theater. I mean, it was a great job if you didn't want to have a life.
Right.
But anyway, I would get off work around midnight, and then I would just go over to Spike's. You know, everybody would already, be feeling pretty good, and I was just getting started. Anyway, I walked into Spike's one day, or one night, and then there was this guy that kind of looked like me. It was kind of bizarre, but he knew me from the TV show.
Right.
From the Cullen show. And he started talking to me, and he's kind of irreverent. You know, he knows everything's kind of a joke. So he starts talking to me, and we start having a conversation. And meanwhile, on the jukebox, Baba O'Reilly, the Kids Are All Right version, is playing on the jukebox. And in mid-sentence, he goes, hold on just a second. This is the first time I've met him. Right. He goes, let me stop you there. Hold on just a second. And he stands up, and it's the guitar parts coming in. So he does the freaking windmill, the air guitar thing. I was impressed with that. I thought that was really cool. I was just like, this guy's going to be himself whether I'm here or not, And, so we never, we just, we may have gone like a year without running into each other, but when we did,
like the conversation never ended.
Yeah, we just picked up where we left off or something, But he's extremely funny. I've not met I can't explain to you why everything he says is funny. I just don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
But he just is. He comes up with some pretty funny
And
phrases.
he's not in the music world at all, or does he play? I don't.
He's very coy about it, and I don't think he likes to. I don't know, but he's kind of good on the guitar. Like he'll pick up the guitar. He knows, and he's played in a band in Radford. So,
Yeah.
but
y'all have never had a music connection together.
Yeah.
Like playing music together.
Yeah, well, he's really good at improvisation, and we actually did come up with a duo of videos we've been putting out where we wear the clown masks.
Yeah. I remember seeing those.
Yeah, and he'll just come up with just these lyrics like I don't even know where to start with that.
Well, I've seen.
And what we'll do is we'll improv for like 5 minutes, and then I'll edit out. I'll keep the best 20 seconds where it was really clicked.
Right. Yeah, I've seen some of them where you're doing like parody versions of real songs, but then other ones where you're just doing off the wall stuff, just like the kind of music that you would have in one of those British 60s horror movies with the background, the out of tune piano plinking around in the background.
And he's it's never planned, but I know at some point in the night while he's knocking back some drinks that it's time to turn the voice recorder on, and then I'll grab a guitar. But yeah, he comes up with he's a lot more creative than he gives himself credit for.
Right.
And we're supposed to actually go in a studio and record. We're waiting on the guy that runs the studio to give us the green light. We've all planned it and got it in place.
Yeah.
But it's a song. It's a country song. I'll let that be a surprise. It's a really good song. He wrote a serious song for the first time in his life because he got mad at me about something.
He wrote a country song because he was mad at Will Henson.
Yeah, he got, and I had no idea. I was oblivious to it. I'm like, what the hell? And he'll tell you, like, he called me up like 3 days later, and it's like, I got really mad at you the other day, man. and he came up with this song, and he left me a message, singing the lyrics. It was the best shit he's ever written. Like, it's just the most honest. It's really poetic, good lyrics.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, we need to record this.
Sometimes you just got to get pissed off to write a good song.
Yeah, and it's called How Serious Do You Want This Song to Be? That's the name of the song, but you'll hear it. Yeah, we're going to record it.
All right. I can't wait to hear that one. And then you mentioned he knew you from the Cullen Show.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the Cullen Show?
Well, sure. Yeah, it was a game changer for me. And it goes back to PBS. I just started working at PBS, and there was nothing to do at night because you just put on American Masters and from the New York affiliate.
Right.
And then you just prop your feet up and eat delivery pizza. And there was another TV where you could watch, other channels. And that's when I saw him. I saw Charles on Channel 9, and I kind of felt sorry for him. I was just like, who's this homeless guy, and what's he talking about? And I flipped past. And then I came back, and he just... he was so uncanny. And I remember thinking, like, I know that motherfucker from somewhere, but I never had met him before. He looked really familiar to me, which sometimes happens.
Right.
And so I flipped, a couple of days went by, and then I flipped, and then he was singing a song about, the granddaddy bought me a copperhead or something like that. Japanese trash lady. and I really loved the music.
Right.
I was like, and I kind of had this feeling. I was like, I'm going to wind up on this show because I have too much in common with this guy. It wasn't a forced thing. It wasn't a, gee, I'd really like to be on that show. I had a doomy feeling in my gut, like, I'm going to wind up on this fucking show. That we just, and he was doing
for
puppet
good
shows.
or ill.
Because I did puppet shows on a local access station back in Wise County.
Right.
And here he is doing the same thing. And it wasn't a great feeling. I was like, I'm going to wind up on this fucking show, man. This is kind of scary. And sure enough, he needed a guitar player for a Grandin show that was sold out.
Right.
And the news stations were covering it. And that's when I first met him. I showed up. Julia Hunsaker, who owned the theater, introduced us, and she said, I think this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. But anyway, and so I shook his hand, and then, he went, there was a dressing room or something. Anyway, there were hundreds of people in the theater. It was packed. And I stopped Charles behind the curtain, and I said, man, I'm kind of familiar with some of your songs, but, I mean, what are we going to do? Well, what are we doing when we go out there? And he started scratching his chin, and he grinned and just said, I have no idea. And I was like, all right, man, I'm with you.
You get what you get then.
Yeah.
You can't complain.
Yeah, and I'd been to enough Grateful Dead shows,
Right.
where they break everything down and you don't know what's going to happen next.
Right.
I love that stuff. So it was great. And then I thought, well, that's the end of that. But he started calling me back, and then, things started rolling. And then he pulled out a Keith Richards puppet, and I was like, that's mine. Because I've been imitating Keith since I was like 12 years old. Talking like this. You know what I mean? And that got really funny. But there was just so much. And Charles taught me a lot. He was just shameless self-promoter. He didn't give a fuck. And he did, we were real busy. We were making movies.
Well, he had all
TV.
that public access weight behind him. He was popular.
It was super popular.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go into Kroger's and like people would follow you down the aisle and ask for an autograph. And
I really wish I'd been in the area at the time where I could have seen that.
it was really, I mean, I went from being a big fan, an obsessed fan of the show, to being on it, which was bizarre too. But we did a lot of work. And now that I look back, it was only 18 months. Like, that was the peak.
Right.
But at the time, it felt like
it was
we were swimming in the middle of 20 years. There was just so much going on.
Now, technically, was he a good? Did he play any instruments? Was he good at it? Was he a good singer? What?
I think that was part of the appeal. Is he doesn't sing in tune, and he knows his way around the guitar. But and that's one of the reasons why I lasted with him so long. Because he's not necessarily going to play in 4/4.
Right.
The chord changes are going to happen when he feels like it. And I'm good at following that stuff. I understand. I knew what he,
Yeah, you can just get a feel for where he's going to go next.
And there's been other musicians that have played with him and they can't stand it because it's not standard 4/4. Well, that's out the window. I mean, you just gotta feel what's happening, and then okay, he'll go to C eventually.
Yeah. I'll be there when he's there. But
honestly, the biggest thing that ever impressed me was just his sheer fearless creativity, and he's really good at writing lyrics. Like, he's written some funny Beck type songs,
right,
that may seem nonsensical or awkward. But he's also written some really seriously good country songs.
Okay.
From personal experience,
right,
from breakups, and he's written some really good country songs that I think are right up there with Hank Williams.
All right.
And I totally stand behind that. I mean, he's one of the most, it's easy to get misunderstood around Roanoke.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to see why you would. I mean, just looking at some of the bands that I know you like, and that, by the way, because I would hear you talk about them, I would dig into them and find out that I like them a lot too. Like Ween, for instance, and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah,
yeah.
They are.
They're coming at you from all sides.
You can't listen to one song of theirs and know what they're about.
Exactly.
You can't listen to 5 songs of theirs and know what they're about, because they're switching styles.
Yeah.
Well,
and
they're
that's
doing
what I
it
loved
well.
about Ween. But yeah, and Gizzard is taking it. Yeah, you'll listen
You'll
to
hear
one
psychedelic, you'll hear country, you'll hear just some regular pop sounding stuff.
and then you'll hear some crunching heavy metal.
It's great stuff.
Yeah, and they do it really well. And I don't know why they're not the biggest band in the world right now.
But when I hear, you talk about Charles Cullen, is that it? Charles Cullen?
Yeah.
Okay. When I hear you talk about Charles Cullen, I look at the kind of stuff that I see you posting about on Facebook, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. What you're describing about Charles is very much the kind of bands that you like to listen to.
Yeah.
Especially the oddball bands, the out there stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll tell you what got me into that, and this is a stretch what I'm about to tell you, and don't roll your eyes either.
Well, you go ahead. I'm going to grab me a soda here real quick.
Exactly. I'm going to go heat up some leftover pizza in the microwave.
No, I just meant that I didn't want to distract you from talking, but I did anyway.
I don't really know how to describe this, but in high school, I was like everybody else, and I got into the hair metal stuff, Doc and Def Leppard, all that, Van Halen. Of course, I still like early Van Halen. But anyway, we were experimenting with psychedelics in college, and we wound up going to a Grateful Dead show,
right,
in RFK, and it just was beyond anything any of us ever expected. It was actually kind of terrifying, experience. But when it was over, it was the kind of experience where you're like, that was really terrifying, and
I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
And then you're like, I want to do that again. I mean, it's like a roller coaster ride. And I know this is a weird thing I'm about to say, but I remember we got back in the car to leave, and drive out of the parking lot. Our brains are just out there. And then we turned on the radio, and there was like, some Def Leppard song. It could have been any hit at the time, whatever was popular in '89. And it just sounded so stagnant.
Right.
After what you had just experienced.
Yeah.
And it just sounded so contrived and fake and insincere. And I was really struck by it. I was like, oh my God, we are constantly bombarded and we are surrounded by dead weight. On the radio, TV shows, it's very calculated. And that's when I realized there's more going on out there.
So much more.
Than what we're being spoon-fed.
Yeah.
And that's what started it. So.
Well, a recent guest that I had on here previously and I were just talking about the difference between radio when I was a kid growing up and radio now. You had disc jockeys that were actual personalities and could spin records and didn't have, they probably had a little bit of a
guardrail.
Guardrails just to keep it from going completely over the cliff.
Yeah, but they had personalities and cult. Yeah. Not even cult followings. Some of them were huge.
And now it's just all some AI produced, a logarithm that, well, at 1042, this song would be best played for our audience because, this demographic is just going on a cigarette break or something like that. And it's like, oh, man, I don't even listen to radio anymore. I have no interest in it.
I haven't either. And I think I can't quite pinpoint when that started. It could have been, I know there was an album okay, I just remember hearing about the Clear Channel.
Right.
And I remember talking to some people in that business and were going, no, we're getting taken over by the Clear Channel. It sounded really scary.
Yeah.
And then I know Tom Petty had an album called The Last DJ.
Okay.
Which is exactly about that. He's like, the business is getting, no one's allowed to have their own personality now on the airwaves, and they're not allowed to play what they want to play. That's actually the lyrics in the song.
Yeah.
There's the last DJ who plays what he wants to play.
And even the talk shows that you hear on some of the morning radio stations, and they're, self-aggrandizing talk shows, and it's always the leader and then the several people around them that
cheer them on.
Yeah, that cheer them on and have some input into it. And really, that feels like it's just scripted anymore.
It's so bland. And I'm not going to mention the shows, but, there's been popular ones in the past, and I've had...
I know exactly which one you're thinking of.
Yeah. And it was just like, it's Tuesday. Get on out of here. And after a while, you're like, well, are they going to expand from this? Or
do they grow at all?
But
or is it just,
and by the time you hear it, like the third day in a row, you're just like, oh my God, man, I can't listen to this anymore. I think it's just a demographic. They're going for one demographic. People are driving to work. They don't want to think about heavy things. And, they want to eat their biscuit from McDonald's and listen to something that's not threatening to them.
I just can't
make them think on their way to work.
I drive to Blacksburg, every day for work, back and forth. And I could not imagine having to spend 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how many wrecks there are on the interstate at that point, listening to that same bland crap. I've got my YouTube roll going, and I might hear bluegrass with Billy Strings or, Doc Watson. Yeah. I might hear hair metal. Led Zeppelin will pop up. The Beatles, of course, they're going to pop up. XTC, and maybe some Ween here and there.
And thank God for that.
I just love. I can take a whole album from the same band and listen to it start to finish. Mm-hmm. I love that, but I'm choosing that. I don't want to hear the same 30 songs played over and over and over again.
Yeah.
If I hear the same song at the same time every day, it's going to drive me nuts.
It will. and I'm a big Pink Floyd fan from way back.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't ever have to hear Comfortably Numb on the frickin' radio ever again.
And it's a great song. As long as you're hearing it when you want to hear it. But
and they run, it's almost like mental illness.
Oh, shit.
Like it makes you feel like you have a skull injury after a while, because you're just like, oh my God, man, how many times do I have to hear Hotel California come on?
Or Bricks in the Wall, or Thriller. How many times do we have to fucking hear Thriller?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good song. I wasn't the biggest Michael Jackson fan when I was growing up. And I wouldn't consider myself a fan now, but I appreciate his artistry and his genius, really, in performance. Maybe not the best writer. I don't know if he wrote most of his songs or somebody else did, but
that's a good question.
You can't deny the performance aspect of it. But you don't have to like it. It doesn't do anything for me, but he had a lot of fans. But there are plenty of good songs out there that I just don't want to hear anymore because they just got the hell played out of them.
That's what I love about these music stations like Pandora. I've got a roommate that got me into Pandora because, he's just got this thing that it'll just play random songs. This is new to me. There's probably people out there rolling their eyes. How do you not know about this? And I'd be like, who's that band? That's fantastic. And he'd be like, I don't know. It's just Pandora. So I download it. It's fucking great. You just put in one song
And it starts building your list.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever heard Guided by Voices. I don't even know how to describe them. It's almost Beatles-ish, but it's lo-fi.
Right.
And the songs are never more than like a minute and a half. And it's just fantastic music, but when I put that in Pandora, it'll branch out and lead me to like 50 other bands I've never heard.
Well, that's what I get from YouTube Music. I've got songs that I specifically asked for, and it plays those. But then, like when I did a King Gizzard deep dive and loaded up a bunch of their albums and listened to that from a playlist.
Yeah.
Well, now it mixes some of those songs, and then it will suggest other songs based on that kind of stuff.
And not all of it's great. Like I'll hear some of it.
I have to hit thumbs down
next.
on some of them.
But every once in a while, I've heard some that's just been life changing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my fucking God, how have I never? Where the hell has this song been? Like, why isn't this like the national anthem of the world right now?
Yeah. And then you find out, oh yeah, that was from the early 90s.
I was getting ready to say, yeah, this has been around since
something
97, man. Yeah.
So getting back to Charles Cullen, is he still around? Do you catch up with them?
We call each other. I actually haven't in a while, and I need to do that. But yeah, we check in, and the funny thing is, like, one of the great things, if you can carry a friendship into your golden years.
Yeah.
Oh shit, somebody's calling.
You gotta slide it, Will.
Oh. That was stupid. I should have just had him on the air.
His ears probably burning from where you were talking about him earlier.
Our friendship got better after the show,
right?
Because there wasn't any pressure, there wasn't any competition. Like at the time, you're young and you're just
right.
You want to get in everything you've got, and you're going to fight, creatively to get that in there. And now we're like two old, tired guys sitting on the porch with all this shit we've been through. Because, and I guess, we've had stuff like just, horrible relationship stuff, like just very similar things going on. So It's great. So we're friends. Like we can talk like
you're
friends.
Not bandmates now.
Yeah, instead of saying like, well, what time do I need to be there with the dobro or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. So we've had some good. He doesn't get out much anymore. I don't know if I should say that because he may very well get out, but he likes to, And one of the great things about Charles is it was kind of like a us against the world kind of thing,
right?
Like we were attacking the normal society. And he's living that. Like he doesn't want to deal with a lot of stupid shit. So he's got his friends.
Sounds good to me.
And he just kind of stays in his world.
Yeah. And
he does great. I mean, he's still out at the chicken farm.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when we first started going over there, it was just this sprawling landscape with a perimeter of woods, and now if you go over there, it's like a perimeter of apartments and stuff. So there's no privacy.
It doesn't have the same character that it used to.
Yeah,
yeah.
But that's just the way things are.
So when did you start getting into writing your own songs?
When was it? Probably I was about 19 or 20.
Okay.
And what had happened was, it goes back to that Grateful Dead thing. It was just such an organic musical scene. And I'll tell you something else. I really started getting into lyrics.
Yeah.
really started noticing that. And I don't know how to explain this without it sounding crazy, but I just had a renewed interest in music that sort of collided with psychedelics.
Right.
And doing bong hits. And I liked the way I could sit down and listen to an album by Frank Zappa, like Uncle Meat, or just some random album, put on the headphones, take a couple of hits of weed, and just be shot out of a cannon into this other universe for the next hour and a half. I just was amazed by that.
Yeah.
You know, that Frank Zappa could just take you to these crazy places that you may not come back from.
Yeah. What was the
in one piece? You know what I'm saying? And I loved that, and I was like, I want to learn how to do that. Or at least try.
Yeah.
And so I did. I was house sitting for a rich widow, and she would go on long vacations to England, and she trusted me for some reason. She was a friend of the family, but she let me house sit for her, and she had this neat little studio apartment on the side of the house that was equipped with. She always left me a mini fridge full of Rolling Rocks, which was nice of her.
Yeah.
But and I put my drums in there. I set them up, and the lead singer of that band that we went to Nashville with, he had a 4-track Tascam, which I was just salivating. I wanted to know what it was like to lay down tracks. Right. And I did it. So I had a song called Block of Ice, which is actually on Bandcamp. And I just wrote it so I could record it. And, you just put the drums down on track 1, track 2, the guitar, track 3, the bass, track 4, you set up a vocal mic, maybe run it through an echo, reverb processor. It was so much fun. And I still think it's just so much fun to record.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
You like the songs kind of lead to, or you write the song so that you have a reason to record, to do
That's the way it started.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I'm going to make this tape and give it to my friends so we can do bong hits and laugh at this stuff. And, I did a parody of Rocket Man called Garbage Man. It was very childish stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it was, that's how it started. I was like, well, so-and-so is going to laugh their ass off when they hear this tape, And it just went on from there. And plus, I had a bunch of friends. Some of them weren't serious musicians, but and we were trying to recreate what we were seeing at these experimental dead shows. And we turn a tape recorder on and just jam and improvise for an hour. And we could get into some weird places. Like, some of them were great. Sometimes it felt like we were tapping into something we shouldn't be tapping into. Like a really kind of
You're staring into the abyss, and the abyss is staring back.
Yeah, exactly. and those tapes are still around. I think Billy Stiltner, a friend of mine, has compiled those tapes, and they're online.
Yeah.
And we would get into some really trippy,
sounds like the kind of thing
stuff.
You light up some candles and play those, and suddenly you're dealing with a demon from the
And I'm not joking about it. Like, we really did tap into some weird portals.
Right.
Can you tell I've never said the word portals before? The way I just said that.
Well, you did say it as 2 distinct syllables, portals.
I knew as soon as because I was getting ready to say the word, and I was like, you don't know how to say that word. Don't say it. And I did.
But so your writing from there just kind of took off, and I mean, I'm sure like most people, you look at your early songs, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? But
yeah,
when did you feel like you were taking it, that you were actually taking it serious, the lyric writing? I mean,
It started when I moved to Roanoke because I didn't have any friends here. I didn't know anybody.
Right.
I really wasn't in a hurry to meet anybody, but I had gotten a tax return, and I was like, I'm going to buy a 4-track Tascam. And so I bought it, I think at Kelly's Music, along with a brand new Telecaster. And I already had a bass and the drum set up. So that was what I did. Like, I didn't hang out with anybody or nothing. I just had all these songs. And that Tasha Fudge was part of that. And some other tunes. Godzilla was part of that. And I call it Songs from the Magic Attic. And
yeah, I've seen that name in a lot of the songs in that series.
Yeah, and then I couldn't, and I was still giving them to my brother Chris.
Yeah.
To listen to. There wasn't any such thing as
file sharing and
yeah, exactly.
music sharing.
And I would just give it to my friend. I remember Matt Chittum.
Oh yeah,
referring to me as the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound.
Because I was just being so serious about this production. And yeah, so it just took off from there. I love the fact that you can come up with an idea in your head, and then maybe a few days later you hear it back coming out of the speakers. That's still just the wildest thing to me.
Yeah. And me, I try to record a song every now and then just on my little setup here, and I can practice it 30 times and it sounds great. And as soon as I hit record, my fingers are like, I don't know this hand, but I want to leave.
That's still going on with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. The, you know.
Well, what do you do to get past that? Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Just let the tape roll and just keep playing until you finally feel comfortable enough with it.
Well, I'm okay if it's just audio. What gets me is like that Glenn Campbell riff.
Yeah.
I made a post about. I was surprised how quick that took. Because usually if I'm posting me playing something, that same thing, as soon as I know that camera's on, everybody tenses up when the red light is on or the camera's on.
Well, I know which Glenn Campbell line you're talking about, but most of the listeners probably don't.
Oh, from Southern Nights.
Southern Nights.
Yeah,
nice
it's just
riff.
such a scary, sick and twisted guitar lick.
You want to try it now?
Yeah. I spent a month.
I don't know if that's in tune. It's probably close enough.
Let's see here. Well, it sounds in tune to me. All right, yeah, let's see. And see, watch me. We'll see what. Okay. It's not easy.
It doesn't look easy.
Yeah. That's it. There we go.
Yeah.
But, and yeah, the first week, I think I drove my roommates crazy because I still hadn't figured it out. And I was doing things like.
And then you do it over and over.
Yeah. And then finally I got better at it. And it's not an easy riff.
No, it doesn't look easy.
It's like some weird skateboard trick that you're proud of knowing, but when the time comes to do the trick, you're kind of
watch
like,
watch me do
I
this.
don't really know how to do this. Yeah.
I feel like that. I just started playing the banjo this year, and no, I'm lying. I just started taking lessons on the banjo this year. I wouldn't say I'm actually playing it. I'm learning how to put riffs together and the way that you're supposed to for this song and then for that song. I haven't learned how to play it like I can play a guitar, where I can put my own stuff together on a guitar.
Are you doing the claw hammer?
No, I'm doing the finger picking. I've heard that. I read.
I just said the word claw hammer just because it's associated. I don't even know what that is. Go ahead.
Well, it's the difference between, like, I use the thumb and the 2-finger pick, so it's called the 3-finger method.
Yeah.
and that's the that's like Earl Stanley and the real fast picking.
Dude, that's a big mountain to climb.
It is, and I read a person who was on one of the banjo forums that I started following once about the banjo, because I go all in like that, was talking about, he was an older person when he tried too, when he picked it up too.
Yeah. And
he said, I just could not get the finger picking down. So I went to claw hammer, and man, it's like a rocket exploding. Everything's makes a lot more sense under claw hammer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but I've put so much time into the finger picking now. And I can do some finger picking on the guitar, so it's not completely foreign to me. But it's still, starting something when you're 60 years old is that's tough to do if you've never done it before.
Yeah, especially because
and it's not completely alien to me, again, because I can play guitar. I can do some picking on guitar and stuff like that. But banjo is a different instrument. Bobby can tell you that.
Yeah.
Do you play banjo? I know you play guitar.
I did
bass,
on
and drums.
some Charles Cullen stuff. And
was it claw hammer or?
I didn't know how to do any of that twangy stuff, but I did the capo method where I just put my finger over. I did some things. Yeah. Actually, I can send you some things where I faked it pretty good.
Okay. Well, banjos are typically tuned in open G, so if you're just doing bars, and playing, you're playing, major chords that way. So
I've got one banjo track I did. I can't remember what the song was called. Hog Killing Time.
Hog Killing Time,
and which was a David Hawkins song. I'll have to send that to you. He doesn't. They're on YouTube, but he doesn't have the songs labeled. They're like track one. It would take me like 40 minutes to find it.
So that was a bluegrass song.
Yeah.
And I have this theory that the people who played bluegrass back in the day and were naming these songs were absolutely demented. When you listen to some of the names of the songs, but then if you listen to the song itself, and it's like, what the hell are these people on? Because it's all the moonshine, I imagine. But
and what's that? Yeah, what's that one? Satan is real. Isn't that like the Louvin brothers or something from the late 50s?
The one song. Because I picked up the banjo, so I had YouTube start playing me some bluegrass songs. So, just to get a feel for, Billy Strings is one thing, but I'm not trying to emulate Billy Strings. He's too damn good.
Yeah.
But listen to a lot of banjo songs, and YouTube will suggest things that are similar to what you've already been listening to.
Yeah.
And one of them was something Mountain, and the whole song was about this guy singing about the virtues of this dog that he had, right? Mm. And he and his wife couldn't have kids, but they got the dog. They love the dog, and then glory be, the wife gets pregnant. Now they have a baby, and so one day, the dog comes around from the back of the house covered in blood, and they didn't know where the baby was, and so he shot the dog. And then they go in the house, and there's the baby safe and sound, but 3 dead wolves laying around. And I'm like, why was your first thought to shoot the damn dog just because you didn't know where the baby was? And wasn't that kind of your fault and not the dog's in the first damn place?
Yeah, they weren't thinking like that. To them, it was an emotional thing. I got to get this out of my system. Yeah. There's a lot of subject matter like that. You've probably delved into some darker stuff, but if you go back to Hank Williams Sr., there's some really, and Robert Johnson. There's some real mental illness going on there, and an inner struggle. Like Robert Johnson's constantly talking about, like, she's a fine-hearted woman, but she studies evil all the time. And things like that. Or
And it's like, if every woman you've ever been with turns out to be evil, maybe you're the problem.
Yeah, I know that's what people would say now, but at the time they didn't have the resources.
Right. They didn't have the internet like
yeah, and
we
he's
did.
got one tune where he's like, I've got the kind-hearted woman that do anything in the world for me, is one of the lyrics. And then he's like, I mistreat her, and I can't see no reason why. Like, he's questioning himself
Right.
in these songs. It's really fascinating. Or he'll sing about a woman that he wants to shoot with a 32-20. If she gets unruly, thinks she don't want to, I'll take my 32-20 and cut her half in two. So,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of drama going on in these people's lives.
And people have the audacity to talk about the music from the 60s and the 70s and devil worshiping and stuff. And it's like, listen to the music that was coming out from your generation.
Yeah, these people have an inner conflict going on back then, too. They just didn't have a name for it back then. And Hank Williams, I don't know everything about him, but I know he had one steady... Well, I wouldn't call it steady, but he had some girlfriend or wife that their dynamic was what brought all those songs out.
Yeah.
It was volatile.
Well, George Jones was pretty famous for being very volatile.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and you're just not going to get those songs without that life. You know what I mean?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, there probably plenty of good songwriters who aren't going through those kind of things, but they're not writing the songs that those people wrote. That's for sure. They're not getting that kind of.
There's probably a blur there between the reality.
Yeah.
And that's what's great. And you're right, because there's a Ween song. Some of these musicians will put themselves in someone else's shoes.
Right.
Which you should have the total freedom to. I wrote a song called Born in a Barn on the 4th of July. And it was a song that originally was on a Charles Cullen album.
Right.
And on the TV show, and it's kind of a semi-popular song. But the premise it's just, his dad drinks, and dies early.
Right.
He works on a farm. Mama slops the pigs, and I shuck the corn. It's kind of, it was meant to be humorous, and I've got a girlfriend named Ellie Mae. I haven't seen her in 93 days. She went out for groceries, but she never came back. I'm still kind of hoping she'll bring a 12-pack. Those are the kind. But I sent it to my mom. I was so proud. And I thought, because she always was open-minded, but she was horrified.
What is going on in your life that you would write
Well,
something
no,
like-
she was like, people are going to think you're singing about me and Dad. And she was worried about, what will the neighbors think? And I was like, Mom, you can write songs and put yourself in fictional situations.
This storytelling.
She was very upset about it.
Yeah, I've got one song that's not along those lines, but kind of the same thing. It's she's been cheating on me, and now we're breaking up kind of song, right?
Yeah.
And my wife likes the song, but she says she's worried that if people hear me sing it, they'll think I'm singing about her. And I said, well, most people who write music know that you write stories. Some of them you're drawing from your past experiences and stuff like that, but other ones I write short stories, and I've never killed anybody in my life, but you know how many short stories I've written where the protagonist kills somebody?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I'm fascinated with, John Lennon.
Yeah.
Had the same, he wrote in Norwegian Wood. It was about an affair he was having, but he didn't want his wife to know, so he colored it different. And that always fascinates me. Like the most powerful songwriting team in the universe, even at the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I better be careful about what I'm writing. I don't
Don't
want
want Cynthia to get
I don't
all
want
upset
Cynthia
about
to get all diggly doodly." I'm imitating Paul, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, anytime I try to imitate John Lennon, I sound more like Paul or Ringo.
John has a more sort of voice like this, but he's real, he's real crass.
Yeah.
So anything you got to say is like,
And sharp. I
and
mean,
I got a Japanese woman in a black bag, just stuff like that. He loved saying things to shock people.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was his thing.
We're bigger than the we're bigger than the Beatles. That was completely wrong. We're bigger than Jesus now.
Yeah. And just, and I'm still fascinated with his interviews because he just sounds like he is about to explode. There's just so much nervous energy.
Yeah.
And people have said that being around him, like you could literally just feel the steam coming out of his pores.
Well, apparently, I mean, and you'd never know it to listen to the records or even see what concert footage that there is. Yeah. But apparently he had anxiety issues with all of the performances and stuff. I mean, starting about probably around Revolver and maybe into Sgt. Pepper's, he couldn't stand the sound of his voice.
Right. He always said, "Smother it with ketchup." Yeah. That's what he would tell George Martin.
And he would sing real high up here with the song, or have the engineers make,
he loved echo and slapback echo.
Yeah.
And,
it's like, man, if somebody like John Lennon is having problems with anxiety, what the hell
Isn't
chance do I have?
Isn't that something? And even as a kid, I really liked his voice.
Yeah.
And I thought it sounded like a saxophone, and I still do. If you listen to Lennon's voice, it sounds like a tenor saxophone.
Yeah.
Just I don't know.
He's got it's not really a gravel, but it's like
it's very
a little
reedy.
Yeah. It's a little raspy and yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, very unique voice. And God, I was getting ready to say something. I think he obviously loved Buddy Holly.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of hear him sort of emulating Buddy Holly a little bit. And Dylan, like once he gets into Dylan, you start hearing it.
Yeah. After
65, he starts letting his voice get more gravelly, and you can hear some sawdust in there.
Yeah.
And that stuff's all fascinating. They were all influencing each other,
That was a hell of a good time for music.
Yeah.
I wish I'd been older than 0 in 65. Yeah. I was born in 65, so.
I was born in 68.
Yeah.
It's odd. I remember having this weird sense as a kid. I could tell that something explosive had just happened.
And you just missed it.
And I just missed it.
Yeah.
And the 70s felt like a depressing kind of tired hangover a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the great acts that ended in the 60s. I mean, the Beatles ended. Of course, they all had solo careers, but the Doors, which I've always been a fan of the Doors, even though as I grow older, some of Jim Morrison's lyrics are a little tiresome.
Yeah, there's a little pretension there.
Yeah.
But I still love the spirit, and I actually am still getting surprised by the Doors. Just recently, and maybe I've been saving it all these years, but I just recently, the only album I wasn't familiar with was Soft Parade, which is supposedly the worst Doors album. It's the best Doors album.
Is that like the spoken poetry?
No, it was just an album they came out with after Waiting for the Sun. They did.
Okay.
And they got a little experimental. And if you get a chance.
I'm sure I've heard, because I dug the Doors a lot. I had most
well,
of their
they start
albums
experimenting with brass, and orchestra.
And Jimi Hendrix, all these great musicians who died right there around that mid to late 60s period. And it's just like, well, shit, why did we miss all of that good stuff? You know? What could they have been doing? How could music have changed in the 70s if those people had still been alive and influencing it? You know, you had the Stones, but they kind of faltered badly in the 80s.
Well, they just were a victim of the times, really. I mean, they're just... I think about this. I just don't know how Keith Moon would have survived in the 80s. I don't know how Led Zeppelin would have been still, because the 80s just started getting, you know, the videos came on, the music just started getting real, the drum machines and
and there was some good music in the 80s,
yeah,
but I know what you're saying, that it was a different, it was a real different
there's just no
feel.
Universal law that could possibly allow Keith Moon
to still be
exist
drumming
in the 80s. It just wouldn't have fit.
And to be drumming with the Who and what the Who were doing in the 80s, because they'd gotten into kind of a I see videos from that time where Pete is wearing, you know, really yuppie clothing up on stage, and it's like, that's so sad.
It was bizarre. I call it his Pee Wee Herman period. Yeah. and other Who fans agree. That's a weird thing, and I think in some ways, I think you got a group dynamic. He even said it. Pete Townsend always says horrific things that are very tongue in cheek, but when Keith Moon died, you know, Pete, who they were close, of course they were, but Pete even said in an interview, like, in a way, I'm kind of glad Keith is dead because it gives us room to, you know,
it wasn't even
to progress or whatever.
It wasn't that long ago. He kind of reiterated that within the last couple of years, where he said something about really the best thing that happened to the Who was Keith Moon dying, and then Entwistle, John Entwistle died.
Yeah, because Entwistle was kind of holding him back too with his habits and his bad hearing,
and playing the bass like it was the lead guitar. You know, just the coke fueled riffs that he'd be playing all night long in every song.
Yeah, and Townsend's right. I mean, it did give them room to move around in, and Keith was becoming a liability.
Yeah, I mean,
and my favorite Pete quote is, it was a documentary on quadrophenia or something, and he said, basically, after 1973, all you're going to get from Keith is do 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 do, and he's right.
Yeah,
Keith stopped doing all the triplets and all the magic tricks he was doing on Tommy and all that. And then he just starts doing like marching drums, 16th notes after like 1973. It's like when the cocaine got in, he'd killed his chauffeur, went to court for that. He got this divorce.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, it was a tragic life, and he got the divorce. He never got over his ex-wife. She married a guy from the Small Faces, and you can hear his drumming just get very, like, almost like a parody
just
of
like
himself.
comic,
You can just tell he doesn't have that fire after 1973. It's weird.
Now, I've seen you, switching gears a little bit here, I've seen you as a guitar player and as a bassist. How are you on drums? Of the three, which do you prefer?
There was a time when I was nothing but the drummer.
Was that your first instrument?
Yeah, and that's, you know, I was a professional drummer for, what is it, 7 o'clock?
No, it's 2:45.
All right. But I was, but I've lost a lot of the drum stuff. Like, my right foot doesn't do what my brain tells it anymore.
Is that just an aging thing, or you just haven't played it in so long that you don't?
Yeah, it's just been a while. Yeah. The last time I played the drums was actually me and Gary. It was a open mic kind of situation where there were 2 drum sets, and it was a lot of fun. I've always, My thing was I always wanted to be in a Allman Brothers Grateful Dead situation where I would play off of another drummer. To
Right.
me, that just sounds like the most fun thing in the world.
Well, that's what Ringo Starr does now.
Yeah.
With the All-Star Band, it's him and some other drummer. I guess they have different ones that rotate through.
Yeah, I was always fascinated with that. And when King Crimson started getting too, you know, so it's like, okay, if you're going to play a straight beat on the bass drum and the snare, you know, I'm going to hit this splash cymbal and some chimes over here.
Right.
It just creates another wave that's just bizarre to me. I don't know.
But primarily now you're what, guitar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's guitar.
Yeah. And but you still play what, bass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly for tracks. I did play bass in bands, and that got kind of weird because when I came in, I had this attitude like I'm going to be like Paul McCartney,
Yeah.
and
Melodic.
and make up my own
I
what
gotcha.
I feel melodically. I was like, what better instrument to play in a band? You know, you don't have to share guitar duties with another guy in the band. You've got your own corner. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Wrong.
Roots, fifths, and thirds, buddy.
Yeah,
Roots, fifths, and
I know.
thirds.
And I got in two bands where one guy was like, we're going to play it just like the record. And I was like, but.
Why don't we just play the record then?
Exactly, yeah. He was a real stickler for that. You know, just,
I wouldn't.
and that kind of doused that flame. And then, and then there was the other band that you're aware of that I was in with Gary.
Yeah.
And that's all it was doon 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 doon, and it got really, it bothered me.
When you're yawning in the middle of a riff because it's the same thing.
Yeah,
from one
it
song
really
to the
started bothering me after about 6 or 7 months, and I was like, how do these professional musicians go on the road and do that for 7 years?
next. No,
Doon doon doon.
probably a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, yeah, and and I was in a few other. So bass didn't turn out as fun as I thought it was. I mean, I could have made it fun, but there's
You got to be in the right band.
there's
to do that.
managers around
Yeah.
you that don't. Yeah, they don't want you to have too much fun on that.
Well, if
bass.
you ever play bass for me, Willie, if you ever play bass for me, you can play bass any way you want.
All right, I'm going to do some Eddie Van Halen triplets.
And we'll be playing country music, so it'll work.
But you know what's weird? Here's the other side of it. When I started the Willies, I started realizing that I didn't like having bass players that went too far into left field. And I never wanted to do that myself. Like, I didn't want to act crazy like
Right.
John Entwistle or anything. But because I would stay to the skeletal structure of of the song. But yeah, I started playing with some bass players like, you know, I mean, yeah, one bass player would just, you know, it had nothing to do with the song. They were just showing off, doing a lot of yakety yak stuff.
Yeah.
During a Doors song, you're really going to start slapping and doing, like Commodores type bass during Riders on the Storm? Are you serious? You know, there'd be a bass player that would want to do. I remember playing one gig and we had a particular bass player that he was like playing Flight of the Bumblebee during, just a slow rock song. And I remember this dude came up, and he looked like Lemmy. He had a mustache. He was British. And he said, "Your bass player sucks. You need to get a new one." He was yelling it.
Maybe it was Libby, and he just could not stand it.
Yeah. And I remember agreeing. I was like, I just want a bass player that will show up and just be a bass player.
You can get creative, but don't go off the fucking rails.
If you want to be a lead guitarist, play the guitar.
Yeah.
If you need attention, do your own show and show off on the bass. But in a band situation, it really turned into a problem.
Yeah. I went to the Black Dog Salvage has the Dog Pound, a little outdoor arena where they have bands that show up. That's down there in Roanoke.
Yeah.
And I went there one time and saw a couple of bands that were playing. A few of the opening acts are local around here. But the big one, I'm not going to say their name. I don't want to say their name.
Okay.
They were a good band. The only problem is, well, the two problems. The singer sounds like Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah.
So I cannot, and I love Weird Al Yankovic, but I can't listen to them sing a song and not wait for the funny, the funny line in it. And secondly, they're mostly a bluegrass, newgrass kind of band, right?
I know who you're talking about.
And it sounds good. The bass player is playing an electric bass. All right, you play what you play, right?
An upright's hard to travel with. Okay.
Yeah. But then in the middle of this bluegrass song, he starts popping and locking on the damn bass, and I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me! You can't do that in a bluegrass song, slapping and I'm just like, you can't do that in a bluegrass song. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, and then there's times when I'll look at something that's gaining a lot of popularity, and I'm very open-minded. I want to know what the hell I'm missing out on,
right,
or why. But there's times where I'm just like, I don't know why this is popular. I don't understand it unless it's just a thing where people will just show up so they can say they showed up there.
Yeah. For me, when it comes to music, it's about the lyrics first and foremost. I've always been a lyrics person. That's because of how much I love the Beatles and all those other great bands.
And there are some bluegrass bands where they just get too loose with the lyrics. Like, I had a cup of coffee at 3 p.m. and I'm driving in the rain and my girlfriend hasn't answered my text.
Yeah.
And then they'll start playing something and they're getting away with this.
Yeah. Well, bluegrass is more about the instruments than the lyrics for the most part, I think, anyway.
Yeah.
Although that's starting to change some now, but you listen to the old style bluegrass and it's all murder ballads and Alone in the Cabin on the Hill,
really
stuff like dark stuff. And so, but that's always been, to me, bluegrass music has always been more of an instrument or a vehicle for the instruments to really shine.
Yeah.
You have a few lyrics and then 15 minutes of the mandolin playing, and then you have a couple more lyrics, and then here comes the banjo.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like rock and roll or folk music and stuff like that, or just any kind of music, even if I don't like the beat or the rhythm of the song, if the lyrics make me think, that'll draw me in.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
But if the music is just dead on, a great beat, and the lyrics are just shit, I'm gonna be a lot more ambivalent. Yeah. It might be decent for background, but it's not the kind of thing I want to listen to on my drive back and forth to Blacksburg.
Yeah, it's the same with me. And I didn't really appreciate lyrics until I was in college. And I hate to say his name because everybody's going to roll their eyes. But fucking Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Like, I hated Bob Dylan. And I just didn't get it. And I had a roommate in college that just incessantly played him. And then I think it was the song My Back Pages, where he just, sings Crimson Flames Tied Through My Ears, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just suddenly started going, man, this is really cool.
This makes sense now.
This is cool shit.
Yeah. But Bob is one of those, the best way I can put it is like, a friend of mine said when we were at Kelly Mullins.
Yeah.
Kelly Mullins had that Bob Dylan experience.
I sang at it. I was on stage, yeah.
Okay.
That was me.
Oh, well. But he was really into Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I guess.
And so am I, yeah.
And somebody that was, not really a friend, but somebody that was, just satelliting around in our group because of who they were with or whatever, said, I love Bob Dylan's songs as long as somebody else is singing them.
Yeah, I've heard that too. And I think I remember that quote from that night. I think I remember somebody saying that. And
yeah, I'm sure you'll remember. We'll talk about it off the camera, but I'm sure you'll remember who it was.
I had a family member who was kind of cutting them down, like, I can't believe you listen to Bob Dylan. And it was, it was a family member. And they were just so offended, that I was listening to, how can you listen? That's like listening to, And I finally told them, like, I can go through your CD collection right now, and I guarantee you, like, 30% of the artists in your collection are covering Dylan songs.
Yeah.
And I was right.
All right, well, we've been at this for a while and had a great conversation. Absolutely loved talking about all these things.
That reminds me of something. Have you ever noticed the freezer light? It has a different rhythm than the refrigerator.
Well, please explain this.
I'm joking. Go ahead.
Well, this has been a great conversation. A lot of laughs here.
I wouldn't call it a conversation.
This is what I envision for this podcast, is just having this kind of off the wall conversation. No real direction. We kind of stayed in some lanes, but it might have been somebody else's. It might have been the oncoming lane.
Yeah,
so.
This was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you allowing me on the show.
Well, man,
cool.
I am so thankful that you came here, and I definitely could see getting you back here, a couple of months from now, get you back in here, and we'll just talk about some more shit.
Hell, I'm coming back every week.
Well, we might be on vacation, but you're welcome to it.
I know where you live now.
I'll never get rid of you.
Yeah.
So, one-line summary of Will Henson.
Oh, boy. The one I'm most proud of is what Tad Dickens wrote in the Roanoke Times.
All right, let's hear it.
And let's see if I can remember what he said. He just said, oh, man, a sickeningly versatile musician.
A sickeningly versatile musician.
And he just said, when Will Henson is on, one never knows where it's going to go.
Well, that sounds about perfect.
And I kind of like that. Yeah.
That sounds like a great way to end the episode.
Yeah.
Thanks, Will, and be glad to have you on again soon.
I'll be here next week.
All right.
Whether you invite me or not. I'm just kidding.